Like all Aucklanders, I've watched with interest and pride as the tallest man-made structure in the Southern Hemisphere has steadily dominated our city scene. The Sky Tower is dramatic, it's superbly proportioned, and it's futuristic. It's already a city icon. It has sprung from the earth in a proclamation of confidence in our city.
Gordon Moller of Craig Moller Architects acquired the Sky Tower project in 1992 from Brierley Properties. Originally, the tower was proposed to be built on Simon Street, but this failed to impress the Planning Tribunal, and the development was offered a land swap by the Auckland City Council to a site off Hobson Street, 2.5 times smaller in area than the original site. The brief was clear. The tower was to provide a tourism and communications facility as a complementary part of the Sky City Entertainment Centre. The tower's height was defined primarily by optimum broadcast and communication specifications, which immediately brought iconic implications to the brief. However, with only 1,400 metres square of site area, a strict time limit of 2 years, and engineering issues, the project was very challenging. From the outset, the architects had a strong position as to how the tower would turn out. Elegance, simplicity, a singular sculptural form was sought, rejecting the notion of towers being an undesirable intrusion to the skyline. Gordon Moller, the principal architect in charge of the project, mentions that the Sky Tower is alike to a marker, a pole or a pole, and a reference point for the Auckland Isthmus.
It was a comic strip about 30 or 40 years ago called Flash Gordon, just coincidentally, and he used to have these amazing looking spaceships. So I suppose there was a certain amount of that sort of idea going along in terms of, you know, this is like a piece of technology as well as a piece of architecture. Mm-hmm. So the pergola was that big ring which sort of signalled, in a sense, the revolving restaurant. The other thing is that we angled the glass to minimise the reflection.
Okay, yeah. So
that's why it's angled like that. And you'll find, if you look at any control tower at an airport, they do a similar thing. So you're trying to minimise the reflection. The second thing is, in the observation area, we wanted to exaggerate the view. So when you go there, the glass leans out, and we wanted to exaggerate, so you tend to drawn to look down.
A prefabricated aluminium rain screen system was used to prevent the ingress of water and moisture. Concrete was the material of choice in the Sky Tower, mostly for rigidity. Nevertheless, the clean, elegant aesthetic envisioned by the designers was not compromised. Silica fume was used in the concrete, which allows for very dense and strong concrete. The density of the concrete also prevents the darkening effects of dust and fungi that would inhabit microscopic fissures within normal concrete. The only disadvantage of using silica fume is that it is a considerably more expensive product. As a part of the tower's cleaning regime, building maintenance units stored in sheltered slits just underneath the pod.
Wind pressure became the driving force for the stiffness of the tower.
Okay.
And they were keen on building a concrete tower because they wanted to make it stiff.
Okay.
So they didn't move very much, as opposed to a steel tower.
The serviceability of the cladding system was a force to be reckoned with. High wind pressures required a specific process during the design. The design underwent wind tunnel testing and a one-to-one trial in Brisbane to refine the details of the cladding. One such system is that if one of the double-glazed units fail, one of the units on the opposite side will automatically break down so as to control the unusual imbalance of wind pressure.
Because this is stiff, because it's concrete, at the top here, in a 200 km/h wind, it'll move about half a metre in each direction from the centre line, half a metre that way, half a metre that way. So you can detect it. I've been up there in sort of 130 km/h wind, and you can detect very slight movement. But this building here actually moves more than the tower. This building here is quite flexible. The mast up the top is quite different. This point here, it's 19 metres up there, it's a steel mast, and at a 200 kilometre an hour wind, it's moving about 4 metres at the top, about 2.5 metres in each direction, about 4 to 5 metres. At the bottom, you've got here, this dark thing is like a concrete raft, and it's about 3 metres thick, and from that there are piles that go down into the Waitemata mudstone or the sandstone to give you a solid bearing, to take the weight of the tower. From this point, it's that cantilever up to that point, and this weight here is more than the weight, the lateral force of the wind.
Oh, okay.
It's exactly like a yacht.
Yeah.
So this acts as a keel.
The Sky Tower is designed with 3 passenger lifts that go up to the main pod areas, and a central goods and services lift which doubles as a passenger lift, and a shuttle to the sky deck. A single staircase runs up the shaft of the tower, and in the pod, 4 staircases are provided as an important part of the Sky Tower's evacuation scheme. Despite the retail additions to the entrance lobby, in the original design, the architects did not want to hide the services in the basement area. As well as the service trays that weave themselves throughout the space, curved pipes that counted the wastewater's terminal velocity used to be exposed to patrons. Fire safety design. Gordon Moller's team worked closely with the fire engineers at Becker and the fire service to create a suitable fire strategy. Fire safety in such a high narrow building was a crucial part of the design, especially since the Sky Tower can be visited by up to 840 people at any one time.
The fire design is on a managed basis. It's a bit like an aircraft or a ship. You know, when there's an emergency in the Sky Tower, it goes into voice control, it goes to a managed evacuation. And so we spent quite a lot of time working out. So normally, with most buildings, high-rise buildings, you have to have 2 stairs, and anywhere, you know, within New Zealand. But this has only got 1 stair, and the reason is that we've actually got 4 stairs up in the pod, and you take everybody to a fire refuge, which is the 2.5 floors here. And so, in an emergency, everybody's evacuated out of the public areas down to a fire refuge, and that's basically a fireproof cell. So there's nothing that can burn there. And people are held in that position while whatever happens is happening, which is probably up here somewhere. And at that point, the fire service then goes into managed control. So there's a fire control centre at the bottom of the tower, and there's one at this point here. So the fire service will come up the tower, then manage the emergency from that point there. And then, if they want to exit people out, they can manage them either by the lifts, if they want to, you know, under managed control, or they can take them down the single stair all the way down the tower. But, you know, it was decided that you didn't want 800 people trying to get out of the tower all at once, because we thought that that would be a bigger safety problem. And this is an international design standard that's been used.
Are you happy with the way that Sky Tower performs today, and is there anything that you would change or any new technologies available today that you...
No, we're pretty happy with the way it's performed. I mean, it's now, the shaft was built in 1994, 95, so it's now 11 years old, I think. You know, it's performed extremely well. We're still getting large numbers of people up it, so we're pretty thrilled with the way the thing's performed, really.
Okay.
In terms of any innovation or any other techniques you would use, none come directly to mind. I think probably we would be trying to use more sustainable design elements.
It has sprung from the earth, and a proclamation in our city. The words of the former Mayor, Les Mills, encapsulate the Sky Tower's standing in the city of Auckland. In much the same way that the Space Needle in Seattle, the Eiffel Tower in Paris, and the Leaning Tower of Pisa is iconic to their respective locations, the Sky Tower has matured to become an essential part of Auckland. This piece of architecture now allows Aucklanders to explore their own environment as much as the hundreds of tourists that pass through its gates.